Just waiting on YouTube. Facebook's up. Oh, man. Okay, cool. All right, let me just put on the intro and then I'll bring you up. How's it going, everybody? Got Joshua Pearson back with us. Hello to everybody on my Facebook page, Soldier One Studios page, Soldier Group page, and YouTube. This should be a really good show, as always, with Josh. Let me pull him up here and get the show started. Hang on. Let's see. Here we go. Video. What's happening?
You going?
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'm coming or going. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's a multi-dimensional playground. I don't know. What's happening with you? It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too, man.
Yeah. It's been a while.
It has. It has. A little too long.
Yeah. I've been obviously I know a lot of stuff's going on over there. And I've been seeing your posts and stuff. Morgan and I were just talking about it a minute ago. You put one out yesterday about it's not about the money, you know. I mean, I saw a couple more you put up prior to that. Yeah, it looks like you're going through what everybody's going through, a lot of deep thinking and introspection. And so what's the ride been like for you? What was it like in March? March was crazy.
Oh my God. It felt like it was never going to end. It was all over the damn place, man. It was just insane. Oh, on the video. Oh. Yeah, Tim says what's up.
Tell them to come on.
You want to come on?
Is that live?
Yeah.
Oh,
He asked if it was alive and he changed his mind.
You shouldn't have told him. We'll punk him next time.
Yes, that sounds good.
Yeah, March was like a dimensional experience, wasn't it? Like in 100 different incarnations.
It was all over the place. It just kept shifting. It felt like I couldn't get my footing.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't even about like trying to walk in two worlds. It's like trying to walk in like 10 or 15 or 20 worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely overwhelming.
So what have your connections with the universe been like in the last 30 days? You know, any epiphanies or significant dimensional experiences?
I mean, mostly repeating what I've already heard, but it's getting a lot more intense, and it's honestly moving at a little bit of a faster rate than I would have expected. I didn't think things were going to get quite like this. Uh,
What what does that mean? Just so we can all clue in, what does that mean?
well, we're feeling all of this a lot more than I expected we would.
Yeah,
Uh, I knew that it was going to be something that everybody would be able to feel, but I didn't realize it was going to be so intense or chaotic, and I didn't realize it was going to be as much of a challenge as it has been for me, especially
yeah,
because I thought I prepared myself.
yeah.
I was
Yeah, I
wrong.
can yeah, I get that. Um, yeah, I mean, just the fact that you can actually say that tells me that you're balanced. Because anyone that tells me, hey,
Right.
everything's cool, I'm good, I'm right in the middle, I'm on that razor edge, middle road, the 0 point. It's like,
No.
uh, and I'm not making fun of them because there might be people out there walking on water. I have no idea. But
It might
um,
be.
Morgan and I are just talking about like the last 18 hours, and our experiences are the same, but they're different. Like they're the same, but the human aspects experience, and one's masculine, one's feminine, uh, are extreme polarities. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's crazy. It's exciting to me. It's exciting. I'm spending the last 18 hours trying to get acclimated with the new energies, I guess is how I'd put it. And they're ecstatic and orgasmic, and they're in every cell of my body. At the same time, my human's like going, what the fuck is going on?
I understand that. I
You know what I mean? Like,
understand.
what the fuck?
Yes.
It's like being on a bad acid trip, or, when
Right.
the mushrooms hit you. And like, okay, slow it down.
Yep.
Uh,
I,
man.
I know exactly what you mean.
No, but
Oh,
seriously, right?
yeah. It's definitely been an experience, and it's not done yet.
No,
Like I don't think it's finished settling yet. I think we've reached the peak of it all, but I don't think we're done.
no,
I
no.
think we've
I'm not
still got
even
a
done
ways
with
to
the
go.
last one. I'm not even
Yeah,
done
right.
with the yeah. I had one come in last night. We had one come in last night. She's fine. She's all happy and in bliss today. And it's not that I'm not. I slept most of the day. I was
Mm,
up an hour and then got up 20 minutes before the last show. And I had 20 minutes before this show after the last show was over. But man, I was laying down, I was integrating, I was surrendering, I was feeling the chi or the kundalini go through my body, my chakras,
mhm.
into the cosmos, down to the earth. I mean, all kinds of stuff was happening. All these different things were coming in since last night. A very powerful masculine energetic force is the way I'd put it. But that's just my trip. I don't know. But
Well, I mean, everybody's is a little bit different, though. It has to be because everybody has different experiences in life, so
true.
they'll translate messages a little bit different.
Very true. Right on. So have you had any uh, you know, experiences recently in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks where they just kind of stand out? Or has it been business as usual for you as the ET that you are?
Uh, I mean, I guess I guess it's not really much worse than the craziest points in my life, but there are a number of things that have been standing out very evidently, especially this past week, specifically with the flow of time. It it seems to be shifting erratically right now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because,
And it's like we think of time as in, okay, I got to be somewhere in 24 hours, or it's
mm,
this day of the week or that day of the month or this month of the year. But what I'm seeing with the time thing is instant manifestation, like
Mhm.
things that we created, and we've always created stuff, you know, in the physical, but it's like it's gone to a whole new level. It's it's
Yeah.
it's literally, and we literally could like think of something tonight and tomorrow wake up and there it is.
Hmm.
And it's just our belief system holding us back, which seems to be dropping because it's not supported by this universal energy. That's the way I feel about it,
Right.
or what it feels
Yeah,
like anyway.
that's that's kind of what I've seen happen too, and that's the end result I was expecting, but the method that it's coming about was not exactly foreseen.
What do you
But
mean by that? What do you mean the method? The ass
yeah,
kicking?
yeah,
there's a
the
there's a
ass
reason that
kicking,
there's a reason
the
there's a run on
voting,
toilet paper. Is that what you're saying?
you're
There's a
right.
reason, right? What's God trying to tell us? Take a look at your shit, right?
Seriously, that's
Really?
just everything, right?
I mean, it kind of levels the playing field, doesn't it? Because everybody's got to have it, evidently.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah,
Oh my God, the gods are funny, aren't they?
they are. Uh, the irony is just absolutely amazing sometimes.
Do you ever get any intel for like what's happening specifically?
Um, Sometimes, but it's not really like moment by moment. It's more of a general idea, which usually when I look at what's going on in the world currently, I can figure out kind of where we're at on the spectrum of things. But it's usually just a general idea of the goal.
Yeah, the goal,
Hmm.
the trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because we all know they can change
Hmm.
constantly and does.
Absolutely.
So, what's your take on it right now with everything that's been going on? We try not to talk about it on this channel, but it's how can you not talk about it? Everything
Right.
is, everything is what it is, and it's in everybody's face. And on one hand, I can see the incredible opportunity that we have,
Hmm.
everything that's happening supporting our expansion, like being alone, being living, cohabitating with people that
Hmm.
you may have cohabitated with, but you've been going to a job for 15 years and you always have your own time away from
Yeah.
them. And then you really got
Yeah.
to sit down and get to know them. I mean, everything
Right.
is supporting expansion, but of course, on the human aspect level, it looks like some crazy chaos.
Well, I mean, it's forcing everyone to more closely look at themselves, and it's we had we were supposed to deal with things, and since the majority of people didn't want to deal with things, it got forced, which is why
Mm,
we're in the situation we're in right now. And so everybody's being forced to deal with the things that they didn't want to, which is part of the overwhelmingness behind all of this. Uh, but uh, beyond that, I don't really know as far as like,
well, that makes sense.
yeah, I mean,
But that makes
it's
sense. Yeah. And the crazy thing is, you used the word overwhelming, which at first kind of shocked me that you used it because I know who you are. And then I thought, well, he's right. To me, it's
mhm,
overwhelming because it's like watching a cartoon.
yeah,
It's like watching a fucking cartoon, man. It's like what?
yeah,
Like what? Some of the best news I heard in terms of it not being a cartoon
mhm,
was we had a couple on a couple days ago, and they're in Australia, which hasn't really been hit like the rest of the world. I
mhm,
mean, the numbers are nominal, uh, and they've shut everything down. Like even to the point where they're broadcasting,
yeah,
if you have three or more people in the car, we're going to pull you over, and you have to show that you all live together. I forget what one of the other ones were, or you have to prove where you're going or something like that. Um, but my point is this couple, they said that people in their community were like going, wait a minute, like people that we call not awake and just normal
mhm,
people, regular people, all the people, you
yeah,
and I, and they're saying, hey, this ain't right. There's something going on here, right? And to
Mhm.
me, that's exciting because we
Yeah.
all know that's where it starts, is in the curiosity of the mind when it starts to question.
Hmm. That's exactly right. And like I said, everybody's being forced to come to terms with it, or to at least pay attention to it in some extent. And that's going to force more people to question it. And the people that still refuse to are going to be the ones that essentially get left behind.
Well,
They're not going to
or
progress
take a
on at
universal
this
ass
point.
whooping. They're
Yeah.
going to take a universal ass whooping.
Oh, most definitely.
It's going to be like trying to get into a gang where you got to fight 20 guys one at a time,
All at once.
right? But there is an all at once frequency going on. Well, I
Hmm.
don't want to say it's going on, but it's becoming, it's kind of like integrating or coming together. Like, you don't have all this myriad of things happening. There's like 10, 8, 6, 5. It's all coming down to the same thing. It's almost like bringing us down to a choice in the moment at
Hmm.
any and all time.
Yeah. Well, reality is in the process of being rewritten right now. This the world that we've known, the reality that we've known is full swing changing at the moment. And that is I guess what could be considered a side effect of
Yeah,
everything going on.
yeah, yeah.
So there's
Well,
a there's going to be a lot that changes before this coronavirus thing is even said and done.
which is just, one small component
Exactly.
in the whole thing. But I love what you
There's going to
said
be a lot more
about,
after that.
yeah, I love what you said about realities being shaped right now,
Hmm.
right? I
Yep.
mean, I don't know. That's not a byproduct to me. That's it. Period. Like,
Yeah.
we've got no, hey, I connect with future beings, I connect with past lives. I mean, all that stuff is just information, no different than
Hmm.
everything else. But what do we really have? We're shaping
Yeah.
reality. We
Yep.
go to bed, we go to work in dream state. We know we're not sleeping. We wake up the next day in what seems to be in an increasing level of expansion. And what's going to happen? I mean, we are creating the reality. I mean, no
Yep.
matter what we think. I guess that's part of the reality that we're being forced to look at in this isolation.
Hmm. Yep. And we're changing aspects of it as we don't like it, and that's reshaping everything. Because there's a consensus that's being reached among the conscious network. So.
Yeah. I got to tell you something that happened 2 nights ago. So,
Okay.
we connect every night, and
Mhm.
we don't connect with any intent other than to expand and all that. Not to make light of that, because that's what we're here doing, growing.
Right.
And so anyway, we we lay down, and as we lay down, there's a lot of telepathic expansion in these experiences now, and that's when I
Mhm.
can tell they're really important because I get it, and then she'll say it.
Mhm.
So I lay down, and all I could really see was a bunch of pixels. I had my eyes open. We put our hands together, and I could see like these green orbs, right? And that's all I could see. And I could
Mhm.
see that the energy of the room was kind of one species, basically. Where other
Okay.
times they've been like multi, like rainbow
Mhm.
coalition.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, but this night, after 2 nights of like a full universal representation, it was just this singular species. And I could see with these green dots, and I could feel the force of them. And there was a tremendous level of like honor, respect, and reverence. Um, and so I said to her, because she doesn't always channel, and I just knew, like, when I know she's supposed to channel, I'll say, hey. And I said, what's that? And she said, oh my God. And it took her like 2 or 3 minutes. She tried to talk and she couldn't talk. And
Yeah.
she said, okay, it's the reptilians. Now we've merged with everything individually, and I think many things together. And so I looked at it and I knew that's what the energy was. I just couldn't see it because I could see it, but I couldn't see it like and compute it to the human mind. So when she said that, I knew that's what it was. So then they said, and again, I realized that this is an explanation that might sound literal, but it's really an energetic explanation. We're talking consciousness, we're talking energy complexes, energetics. And so it said to us, we can no longer be here. The frequency of love has gotten so high that we can no longer be here. This is the role we played. It wasn't always easy. This is what we had to do to serve you, to serve the collective, to get us to this point, and we can no longer do anything. And it was like total respect, honor, reverence, love. Like you're fighting somebody and you may not like them, but in your core, you respect them and love them. You know what I mean? No matter who wins. And they also said that, keep this contained. Not everybody will be able to get it right now. And then I guess, it's okay now. Like, this is part of it. Like, we're all of this stuff, right? Anyway, I thought I'd share that with you.
Well, I appreciate that. That's awesome. It's good to get a little bit more information.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we have to, Morgan said gratitude. Yeah, there was a tremendous amount of gratitude both ways. But at the end of the day, whether we say it, think it, do it, whether it just is in regard to this physical world or the non-physical dimensional levels that any of us have experienced or remembered, oneness is oneness.
Absolutely.
I mean, there is no good and evil. There is no Republican and Democrats. There is no QAnons and anti-QAnons. Everybody is the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything is the same. Everything is the same. Even the coronavirus is the same energy. We can work with that energy on an individual level.
Yes. I agree.
So how are the kids reacting through this period energetically? Do you see a difference?
There's a difference, but I think that's mostly because of who they're around.
Yeah.
Not really. I think it's mostly from the isolation.
Do you think that? Can you see a difference in them? Like, because for those of you who don't know, Josh has 2 kids.
Yeah.
In terms of like being in a routine, and I've met your kids, so like a lot of young kids, they're just beating at a different frequency. Like trauma doesn't seem to like attach to them. It's weird. But do you see like a difference in them since all this has gone down, even though they may not understand everything that's happened?
I mean, not really. I've talked to them about it a little bit, tried to see if there was anything, if they had any concerns or wanted to talk about anything, but I haven't noticed anything, nor have I been able to, or have they mentioned anything to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but they seem to be acting normal.
Yeah. Right
Madison's a little more sassy than usual, but
sassy.
Yeah, I think that's from the isolation.
No, that's called being a young teenage girl. I've had 6 kids.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
They start about 9 years old. All right, I'll tell you right now. They become like, yeah. They do. I'm telling you, it starts.
No, I know.
You start getting this pushback, and you're like, well, what? But actually, I got to tell you that. So I went. So I would have been 50. I would have been 49, 50 when I kind of reawoke, and I had this, whatever happened. And so I went on the streets for a couple of years, and then after 2 years, my two young girls, they would have been like 11 and 12,
Mm-hmm.
which I had them I had them up to 2 years before that. So they were like 8 and 9, 9 and 10. And I could see it coming on. So anyway, so I ended up getting them back, got off the street, rented the upstairs of my mom's apartment for about 8 months, and then we got our own townhouse. So they would have been like 12, 13 now. Now they're going into middle school. And then I had met Morgan, and it was all through the internet and through the ethers. So
Mhm.
I'm like learning about ascension and having a lot of dimensional experiences. And I got these two young girls, and their mom had died, and so there was a lot of stuff going on, normal human shit. And
Yeah.
but the energy of those girls taught me so much as I learned to accept as they got older. They're like, Dad, I'm going out with so and so. He's 17 years old. I'm like, what? I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah.
Uh, there was a couple of things happen, like meeting three boys out of the trash can in my apartment complex with a baseball bat, stuff like that. But
I understand.
but what I got from it was living with them, like fighting that energy that I realize now was reasserting itself onto the earth, that divine feminine, wild, sexy, nurturing. I mean, all the aspects of the feminine were coming through with my daughters. I mean, in terms of like power and
Mhm.
grace and just like let me be. If you love something, let it be, right? And so I learned a
Yeah.
lot from them, and they would have been like 11, 12, 13, 14 years old. So I say that with all respect, but you can see the power of the divine feminine in a young girl as she comes in of age, I guess is what I'm
Mhm.
saying. And I
I
know I know
understand.
Madison, so you're being fast tracked.
Yeah, that I can believe because she's she is going to progress pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But Aiden's starting to really get a good foothold too. He's still as energetic and scattered as always, but I think he's starting to get a little bit more control over it.
Right on. So one of the things we saw too was like, because I think these kids got it figured out. I'm not saying we got to figure anything out, but just like what's happening right now. Like, we had a show with Laura Eisenhower last night. We talked about a lot of the stuff that's going on that everybody knows that's going on, people that didn't know what was going on, people that they're just finding out, and so on. And I was saying, but there's people all over the world that have been having dimensional experiences and are connecting to the universal mind all the time. And that's starting to get more airplay, right?
Yes.
And so, like, one of the things that we went through too, like maybe 10 days ago, was we were shown that the perfection of, let's say, the virus or anything else, how it wasn't what it seems. It's all just energy kind of moving, and that there is an ascension, and that some people are choosing to leave and physically transition.
Hmm.
And then one of the things they showed us was that those folks that are leaving in that way, in like a 72-mile radius, are like taking up all the shadow that they can, what we would call shadow, transmuting it as they go, using their strength of whatever exiting in order to do that.
Okay.
But I think stories like that are like, the more we talk about these things, like your connections that you talked about on the previous three shows, those things aren't so much like a how-to, but
Right.
they're full of code in terms of who we really are.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely. And if you listen, there's lessons in everything.
Yeah.
Just gotta pay attention.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Everything's talking to us all the time.
Absolutely. Just gotta open up your ears.
And your eyes
Hmm.
and all your senses.
Oh yeah.
So what about people like you're still going to work, right?
Oh yeah.
So you're going to work every day in a
Mhm.
in a pretty big place. I mean, that's got to be what, 80,000 people, you know, pretty good environment. What
Yeah.
are you picking up on the people on the streets, like in work and just people you run into? Do you have a like a take on their frequency, like collectively, like what's every, you know,
Uh,
what are you seeing when you go out there?
it's split.
Hmm.
It's split. There seem to be two sides of it right now, from what I'm seeing. There's the people that are scared and panicking and going all out, and then there's the people that think it's all a bunch of bullshit and there's nothing to worry about. And there doesn't really seem to be a whole lot of there is a margin of people that lean towards that latter side, that say that they kind of sit on the fence, don't really know which way to lean, but they do tend to believe that it's nothing, that there's nothing to really fear, and
Yeah,
that there's just a bunch of stuff going on right now.
yeah.
And there's but there doesn't seem to be any in between. Seems to be one or the other.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And it's like that's what I was saying because it's like it's so. That's why I was giving that example of my friends in Australia because it's so. It's not even surreal. It's past surreal. It's like when surreal gets to like this is stupid. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like
Yes.
I mean, I love cartoons, like really good cartoons. I know you can appreciate that have like an
Absolutely.
intellectual message. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like even South Park, like just all kinds of stuff, right?
Right.
Robot Chicken, and
Yeah.
you know,
There's
yeah,
a lot
Adult
in there.
Swim. But but at some point you're like fear based. Okay, everything's gonna be okay. This
Hmm.
is happening. That's happening. That's what we're being told. I want to believe that. And then it gets to a point where it gets kind of surreal.
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where it's like almost embarrassing to even think you were following that train of thought. And that's what I mean. It's like even, well, not, I
Yeah.
won't say even, but it's becoming like a common ground that people are going, wait a minute, hang on a second, you know, like
Hmm.
what's up? What up?
Yeah. Yeah. Even a lot of the people that don't really look at any of this or believe any conspiracy theories or any of that stuff, they're starting to really open up to all of it and see it for what it is. And that's it's really awesome to watch that play out. I've been waiting on all this for a decade.
Well, that's where I was going with it. So, like, I mean, what do you see as the outcome of this incredible, exciting experience that we're all having? Because I know you can see that it is, well, just what you said. I've heard a lot of people say what you're saying in terms of, oh my God, it's finally here. But they're like
Yeah.
30, 40 years older than you. So there's a little difference, but it's all the same. I get what you're saying. I know you get it. What do you think the outcome's going to be?
um, well, as far as the specifics, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I do have a few theories.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I believe that the currency system is going to change fundamentally. Uh, Honestly, I think it's likely that we'll go back to the gold standard across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think there's going to be a large shift in a lot of political, and I think healthcare is going to shift drastically too.
Yeah.
Um, there's also going to be a number of changes with infrastructure and supply lines, uh, and there's likely to be within the next 5 to 10 years the beginning of some expansions. And we are definitely going to be hitting space in the very near future as well. I think before all of this is done. Um, as far as reality goes, I think there's going to be a lot more that we're going to find out as possible. A
Absolutely.
lot of
Yeah.
doors are opening up, and there's a lot of things that have been blocked off that we're not blocking off anymore, and those are
Yeah.
going to be discovered in the very near future too. That's going to, I think, shift the fundamentals of Well, it could shift the fundamentals of religion and most religion in the world.
I think it's going to shift all of them.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of thinking it's going to start a transition into a more central, unified religious theory, more
Yeah.
per se. Not really a religion exactly, more like a religious theory.
Well, we have to use that term, I guess, but
Mhm.
but
Well, that's the best way
spiritual,
to
spirit
describe it.
scientific, yeah. So okay, so some of the things you said were like one of the things would be that it advanced technology.
Mhm. Yeah, that's going to
So
shift everything.
yeah, and I think there's a pretty good argument that you talked about space travel. I mean, I think there's a pretty good argument. I'm not saying I believe anything one way or the other, but for the for the conversation. So there's a pretty good argument that we are on Mars, that we're on the moon, that we have relationships with ET family,
Mhm.
that we, there's Project Looking Glass, which has got,
Right.
some press, which is, hey, they can see the future. And, I mean, it is all kinds of stuff. But I guess
No,
what I'm saying is whether there is or whether there is not, the reality of this already occurring or it's going to happen soon or whatever the case is.
Mhm.
There's a place where no matter what happens, that we can be and occupy that serves us best and the collective best.
Yeah,
Does that, do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, I know you do.
I
But,
understand. Yeah.
but I mean, like, how do we, like, through what we've just recently gone through, because everything changes, used to be like once a month or once a week, and now it's every day. Is right. So all
Every
this
hour.
stuff's coming at you, but have you found anything through the last few weeks that you've kind of refined to stay in that place, to stay in that neutrality, to stay, in that alignment of higher self and human self?
Um, Nothing that really sticks out to me. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it's just felt long. I mean, there's nothing really that I can think of off the top of my head that I've been
Yeah.
focusing on or noticed specifically.
Have you had any like? Have you felt at all like? And I'm just asking you because I know you. Um, have you had any like splitting going on, like splitting in dimensions or timelines?
Uh, yeah, yeah. It's well, I actually have this talisman that I was given by Teal. I don't know if you've seen it
Yeah, I
before,
know too. That looks like.
but
What is that?
it's a traveler's amulet, and
What's
it's
it made of? Looks like
it's
jade.
clay.
Oh
It's
yeah.
clay and it's painted. It's
Okay.
painted clay. But I've been wearing this, and that's helped me control it a little bit better. But I've definitely noticed it still. There's a lot of it takes a lot to maintain focus. I can't. I get distracted really easily, and I'll see things that change almost instantly.
What do you mean by that? I think I can
Uh,
relate. I think I can relate. That's why I'm asking.
well, the things in the sky,
Yeah.
uh, the I guess humanoid beings, um,
Don't
and
skip that one.
others. Yeah.
Don't skip that one. No, this is interesting. This is interesting. I want to ask you about this. So
Okay.
when you just said that, um,
Mhm.
let me tell you. Well, let me be. Let me put it on myself, so I don't insinuate or assume anything.
Okay.
So for a long, long time, and I can't even remember how far back, but I'd have to say maybe 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. Um, and I've got more clarity on it now. And that is when I am focused on the energy of another person. And it could be through messaging, it could be on on video or in person. I can feel their composition, and their composition, and I think we all have it,
Yeah.
has some programming running that maybe is a part of this duality or false matrix or whatever you want to call it, ego, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And there seems to be a correlation with what I'm looking at, and it's not one person is this, it's more like this is what they're made up of. But it seems to be correlated with, like, I guess I would call like a species, almost like a morphine. And I've seen morphine with physical eyes, particularly with Morgan. Yeah, dragons and different goddesses and whatever. But
Yeah.
but it more of like a third eye morphine where I can actually see the composition of them. So when you made that statement, are you saying that you have more clarity in seeing the composition or origination of somebody when you're talking to them?
Uh, well, not necessarily when I'm talking to them, but it seems like the way I'm seeing things is shifting. It's less the shadows in my peripherals, and it's more almost like ghostly figures. And they seem to be getting more solid. I don't know if
Okay.
that's things
Yeah.
phasing in or me phasing out or what, but
Yeah.
I know it has something to do with this convergence.
Yeah.
That there's
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Because like if you look at like not just my own, but like if you look at other people's uh, experience since awakening or reawakening, whatever you want to call it, they had these external energies communicating with them, angelic, galactic, so on, and then in time they embody them. And I wonder if what we're seeing, because I can relate to what you're saying, both uh, where I've seen them as a composition, but also seen them around them, is
Mhm.
that are we witnessing the embodiment of the supporting energies or connected energies around a person going into them? I mean, this is getting, you go to the movies and you have those glasses and they're what, 3D?
Yeah.
It's like they're giving us a pair of glasses and it looks like a kaleidoscope. It's like
Yep.
99D. Here you go.
Hmm.
But you know
That
what I mean?
that's
I
a
wonder
really
if
good
that's what's
description.
happening. We're able to see those things.
That it might be. It wouldn't surprise me. Where everyone should be realizing a lot of new abilities and powers in the coming
Yeah.
years. Because I mean, humans have been asleep for a long time, and now that they're waking up, their powers are finally waking back up,
Yeah.
and that's gonna change things. There's gonna be
Yeah.
a lot of fun with it too.
And there seems to be a direct relationship, like what you had alluded to or even stated earlier. There seems to be a direct relationship with the stuff that's coming up,
Hmm.
uh, kind of like, clear this and this comes in, clear
Right.
this shadow or whatever, and this higher skill ability gets expanded. I think
Hmm.
a big part of that has been, and you know, the patriarchal energy, the masculine, the false masculine energy, like it's so embedded, it's so deep, even in I mean, it's in all of us, and it's like to really allow this feminine energy to come in, which obviously has been put down, which is which we're all, we've all been subjected to. I
Hmm.
mean, is it's a challenge because the level of um, the level that it's been embedded into all of us is so deep that it's a challenge to allow that to come out because you're unconscious of how deep it's gone.
Yes.
You know, I mean,
Yeah, it's like Stockholm syndrome.
yes, yeah, exactly, exactly. It's like, you know, I look at it and I have certain feminine energies that I've worked on, that I've pulled up to make peace with, or whatever you want to call it, in my, you know,
Right.
in the energetic field. And what a fucking journey it's been. Like, whoa,
Mhm.
it's okay, everything's cool, but I'm still the man. You can't walk
Right.
away from that energetic you know, interaction with that kind of attitude without it coming back to kick you in the ass very soon. But I mean, there's something going on with that too,
There is.
which seems to be very prominent at the
Yes.
moment.
It, it's very layered, and as it progresses, the different layers are going to be more pronounced
Yeah,
than previously. And as it goes, everything's going to get a lot clearer. We're going to slowly see a bigger and bigger picture. And then
yeah.
I don't think we'll see the full picture at the end of this, but we'll see a lot, and
I
we
don't
will
think we ever get the
understand
full
why.
picture. I
No,
don't think we ever get
no,
the full
not until
picture.
we converge back to the source for the final time.
Exactly. And who wants to go back there? I don't. I want to keep
No,
playing out here.
this is more fun.
Yeah, exactly.
We're out here
I
for
mean,
a reason.
I get this recently. I get this. Hmm, I don't know if it's a download or daydreaming, or I know it's not daydreaming, but I mean, it's like I can't describe it. But basically, what it is like you are a god in training.
Hmm.
Like, how would you treat your creation? What would you give your creation? And
Yeah,
and I'm talking about like from an energetic, communicative level. No matter what's happening in the literal and all that, it's just like, where do you put this? Like, what will you do with this?
right.
How good can you make it? You know, how far can you take it? You know, kind of thing. And
Hmm.
I don't know what that is, but I kind of get it. Like, whatever happens, and I mean beyond, like, you know, this incarnation or tomorrow or whatever, um,
Yeah,
whatever happens is going to occur by the thoughts that you carry forward, and the more expansive that you will become, and potentially,
hmm,
is based on the alignment of that of what you are. Like, you know, I'm made in the image, aligning my free will with universal will, something like that.
yeah,
I know that was a
yeah.
mouthful, but that's where.
It's aligning your true self to your true self.
Yeah,
You got to accept every aspect of you.
yeah,
But yeah, no, I know what you mean. And it's a lot to, you start actually saying it, and it's extensive.
yeah. It is. Well, so much of it's just, well, so much of it seems to be like everything's just about feeling now. It's like you can't even talk about it. Like
Yeah.
last night we connected and all this stuff was happening. I'm like, man, I got to tell her what's going on.
But then there's just no words for it.
There's not. I tried to open my mouth and all I could do was moan. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
well, that shit's not working. I'm not going to do that. She's not going to understand if I tell her that. But yeah, that's. I mean, I'm laughing about it, but that's what it's all day long. I mean, you know, when I wasn't sleeping or laying in the bed trying to integrate this, whatever's going on with me, um, I was just like walking around with. I don't even know what the word is. I certainly wasn't uncomfortable in like a painful sense. I
Right.
was in a newness and it felt good. I wanted more. I'm curious, but I'm like totally depleted at the same time. I ate a big bowl of pasta, a big sandwich, and some beetroot,
Yeah.
and then went back to bed. But it's like, I don't know, man. There's some serious energy being cycled through
There is.
in a different way than like physically going out and like running a marathon or working out or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I definitely agree. It's it's crazy, and actually feeling it all and seeing it all unfold. It's definitely not an experience I would have predicted.
No.
Not. It's not. the way that I thought it would be.
Now, why do you say that? Because of
Right?
what's happening literally, like with the stuff we
Because
see in
the
the
way it
headlines?
feels,
Huh?
the way the energy resonates,
Yeah, okay.
the way that the energy feels,
Yeah.
it's different from anything I expected.
I'm
For
glad you
sure.
said that. I'm glad you said that. That gives me validation.
Oh yeah,
Only because I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
yeah. No,
And
it's
I had this
definitely
energy. I
something
had,
different.
go
It's
ahead.
definitely something different.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's how it works. It's like no matter what you think
Hmm.
from this point that you're at with your level of comprehension with all multidimensional aspects and everything, like
Yeah.
you can't even think about what it's going to be like. And we're like just
Yep.
dipping our big toe into the water, this huge, gigantic planetary
Hmm.
ocean. And we're like going, oh
Yeah.
shit. Because like,
Yep.
yeah, that's how it was last night for me. I mean, I
Hmm.
went through like 2 hours, man. And I'm like wide awake, like I'm like deer in the headlights, like that. And I finally got up and I thought Morgan was asleep. And I'm like, get out of bed. She's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm gonna go smoke a cigarette and try to like, get my head together. Like I felt like I just had sex for like 5 hours or something. I mean, like what? Mind blown.
Yeah,
But but
I
it's a
understand.
but it's a
Hmm.
mind body soul kind of integration. I mean, everything is involved, and that's kind of weird too because
Yeah.
you know at different times or other times we're more fixated on one or the other.
Hmm. Yeah, that's definitely true. There's.
So is it hard for you to not get caught up like in the talk about Q or the talk about the virus or whatever? Oh, those are the main two things in the headlines, I guess. I mean, is it hard for you not to engage that? Do you take it in and consider it? Do you just read it and let it pass through you, or do you not even look at it?
I've honestly, I've already formed my own opinions on the topics. Um, it's, I mean, if it's discussed, I'll discuss it, but I try to maintain a neutral stance. But like I said, I've already formed my opinion on the topics, and I'm not saying that it can't be swayed, but it would definitely take some convincing.
Yeah. Well,
'Cause-
yeah, I can relate to that. I mean, for me, it's just like, you know, it's another narrative,
Mhm.
just another narrative.
Yeah.
When I look at it from where I'm at, which doesn't mean anything, just how I'm looking at it, I look at it and go, well, hell, there's just as many people being pulled off center by the light programming as there is the dark programming, basically. I mean, you could say it a lot of ways, but fear-based programming versus savior-based programming or whatever. It's like whatever you do, to me, this is what I say, my own self-talk, whatever you do, to thine own self be true. Because no matter where I end up, I could wake up tomorrow and be on some other planet with,
Mhm.
8 billion, 8 foot tall, green eyed brothers and sisters, and I'm the odd person out. And
Right.
I'm like, I am soul. I'm
At
soul,
this point, you never really
motherfucker.
know.
Right? I mean, what else you got?
Yeah.
Not to mention it's all my creation anyway.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So careful what you imagine.
That's right. And what you put out there and what you
Mm-hmm.
put your attention on, what you put your focus on. I
Yes.
mean, quantum is quantum. So, I don't, I'm not well read in it, but I've read enough about it to know what I'm looking at comes here. Then I
Hmm.
do something and spit it back out. And that's where the power is. So
Yes.
if I keep feeding that monster, it's going to get bigger. If I
Mm-hmm.
transmute it into a higher expression or expansion or higher frequency or dimension, then so be it.
Yes.
But that's a real power that we all possess, and with it, I
Mhm.
think comes a lot of responsibility.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's not an easy responsibility to bear by any means, but it's one that can be done by anyone. You just
Yeah,
got to do it.
that's right. That's right. And I think a big part of the, not the physical stuff that's happening,
Hmm.
but the energetic, which is physically represented, but the energetics of what's happening. So the quarantine and the control and etc. is putting us in a place where we're having to look at ourselves, which not only means, where have we bullshitted ourselves, but also what lays behind the bullshit, the
Yeah.
power, the skill, the ability, the lineage,
Hmm.
the limitlessness. I mean, there's a whole, and quite frankly, for me, getting past the fears was a lot easier than trying to accept these infinite qualities that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It always is. It always is. It's it's a lot scarier to accept that infinite than it is
yeah,
to just release a physical fear of some kind,
yeah,
or even a spiritual fear.
yeah. And they run deep too.
Hmm. Most definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I don't see anybody walking on water or flying through the air like Superman.
Not yet, anyways.
So that's right. And the crazy thing about it is quantum now. So the first time somebody does it, there's going to be like the next day, like a million people doing it.
Exactly.
That's really how the energy's working now.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I remember what it feels like from my dreams, so I'm looking forward to it.
To flying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I do too. Swimming. I remember a lot of swimming,
Hmm.
like big time. And then the
Yes.
big blue, the people of the big blue or the deep blue, something like that.
Hmm.
Like
And
Avatar.
the not having to worry about being surrounded or engulfed in water, still being able to breathe no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Like that's there's I'm expecting a number of oddities to occur.
Do you think we'll see stuff like, some of the people that have come on and I've asked them about it because there's so
Hmm.
much on the board, but there seems to be like I think I asked you about this before, but there seems to be, I mean, there's physical, there's non-physical.
Hmm.
There's what you can see in the light spectrum, visible light, and then there's
Right.
not. There's all these different quantifications, right?
Hmm.
But there seems to be some type of fusion of physical and non-physical with the inner earth. Enough
Yes.
people have taught, have connected with the inner earth, and it's like I've heard different narratives, not dominant narratives, but I've heard narratives and they just resonate with me that they're
Hmm.
going to be the first ones to kind of come through the veil. And to me, that registers like in the physicality. What do you think?
No, I believe that 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 rings true for me. It's definitely something I've been kind of anticipating too. Like
Yeah,
there's a lot going on, and it's poised for that to happen. So
yeah. See, I think one of the things you said at the beginning of the show about belief, you said something about belief. And
I can't remember it
that's
now.
why I think it's so important,
Hmm.
even if you don't know what the fuck you're talking about,
Yes.
totally. But other coming from a place where you're just saying, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This is what I experience in lucid dream or in, epiphanies or revelations or dimensional experiences or whatever. There's an inner earth. There's some dragons flying around the bedroom. I mean,
Right.
whatever it is, because the more we talk about it and
Hmm.
not look at each other and go, oh my God, you're weird.
Right.
Where all the weirdos come together, basically. I mean, that energy's real. That's
Hmm.
to me more real. That's the true 1%.
Yes. Yes. I look forward to seeing what all gets created here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's got to be a challenge too, having kids,
Hmm.
like having two young kids. A lady that was on before, she's got three. Um, that's got to be challenging to the human aspect. I mean, do you ever get like caught up in like fear in terms of like protecting your children or, you know, I don't know, I guess like what you just came up with in terms of them being home for a while, you know, even considering like homeschooling versus, you know, the traditional school system?
Well, personally, I'm not a fan of traditional school system anyways. It's an outdated system that was designed for factory work, and that's not what we need now.
Yeah.
But that
Yeah.
aside, I mean, I do have the protectiveness. They're my kids. It's that ingrained programming to protect your offspring, and I don't mind that. I do have that, but it's not been anything overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've pretty well formed my opinion on what's going on right now as far as the physical and what's on the media and everything. And I currently don't see a reason to be concerned about their safety.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's
if
good.
if the mass population starts reacting erratically, then yes, I will start to get concerned. But so far, I don't see any reason to
Well,
be.
you'll just snuggle up in Fort Pearson.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It'd
Uh,
be a good old time.
but you know, I don't think we've given ourselves enough credit, or the people that we thought were asleep, or however you want to put it, the human race overall.
Yeah.
I think there are more people thinking now,
Mhm.
free thinking, questioning. The only Q club that I'm interested in is the Q that stands for questioning everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not trying to, you know, I respect and honor what the Q movement's doing and everybody else, but there's more people now asking questions
Mhm.
sincerely. The type of questions that only occur between you and the universe, no matter who you're talking to, no matter what anybody tells you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, where things come in
Mhm.
and they just won't let go, like this last month, the
Yes.
different things that popped in. Like, no, I'm
Yeah.
not letting go of you. No, you're
Right.
not going to distract yourself. You're going to deal with this shit now.
No, you
That
got to
kind of,
pay attention right now.
no,
You don't have an option.
no, let me blow a big fatty. I'll talk to you tomorrow. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh,
yeah. But
give me
that's
just
the
a minute.
energy. But if that's hitting, that's got to be available at a minimum to everybody, and that's got to be being engaged by more and more people because of the circumstances, because they can't go to work,
Yep.
because they can't. I mean, like even thinking about paying your bills and all that stuff is like getting to a point of almost cartoonish, and
Yeah.
it's like, what do you got left?
Mhm.
And that's the point. What do you have left? You.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. Right on.
Yeah. It's it's awesome to see though. I think I even said it in one of my previous videos that once this got moving, it was going to get crazy, and then it was going to start snowballing.
Yeah. Well, you
And
said
it.
it earlier. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. You said that it keeps getting wider and wider apart,
Yep.
which is, yeah. I've had those moments. I know you've had them in your life too.
Absolutely.
Whether you were totally sober or you just smoked some good dank,
Right.
you go into like the mall and you see all this stuff happening, like
Yeah.
you're in a bubble. You see
Right.
the reality of everything. But I mean,
Mhm.
that's the kind of clarity people are getting, I think.
Mhm.
Thank God for
I
Saint
think.
toilet paper.
Right.
Yeah, when we get to the next round, they'll be like, Saint toilet paper.
There
Showed us our shit so we could shift.
you go.
Well, I hope to
That's
see you
going to be the
soon. I don't
newest
know.
one.
I don't know how long it's going to take.
Okay.
We were going to be on the road like a few days ago.
No. Nice.
So we'll be up that way.
Okay.
I don't know
Well,
when.
just go with the flow, right?
Yeah, it's all we can do.
You can't rush it.
Yeah, it's all we can do,
Hmm.
which is cool, you know, which
Yeah.
is fine, which is like, so many of these things, like I said, that are happening are actually supporting expansion, personal expansion,
Hmm.
which is the ironic way that the universe teaches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kind of like going into March, we thought we had everything figured out and everything was cool. January and February were MFs, and we came out of it like warriors. And then,
Yeah.
then you're on your
Then March
knees
hit.
before, you're on your knees before the first 24 hours is over in March. That's how it
Yeah.
rolls. That's how it rolls.
Yeah.
Never stops. I love
And
you,
now
brother.
everybody's just sitting around wondering what's next.
No shit, right? I love you, man.
I love you too, man.
Give your kids a third eye kiss from me and Morgan,
Will do.
and we'll see
Will
you
do.
when we see you.
All right. Love you guys.
All right, man. Take care. Bye.
Later.